There's many ways you can learn more about the thing that you are collecting. You can go online, you can go to shows, you can talk to other collectors, hey, you can even watch videos about them. But there's one way that may beat them all, and that is a great book. I have found such a book about collecting Britains Swoppet Knights. The book is Swords and Roses. It's by Poole. We talked to him, and you'll see it today on Collector Guide. First, a little background. Toy knights were made in metal for kids for a long time. When plastic toys came out in the 1930s and took off in the 1940s and 50s, plastic knights were a big part of it. They mainly looked like this, a solid figure in one color of plastic, like this knight made by Marx. Sometimes there was a little paint added, like this one. In the 1950s, the famous Britains acquired another company, Herald, who was a leader in plastic toy soldiers. They changed the industry in 1958 when they released the Swoppet figures. Swoppets were made of plastic. Instead of being one solid piece, they were made of several different pieces, giving the figures great motion and greater playability. Additionally, as their name implies, a kid could swap parts between the figures, making whatever figures they wanted. Finally, the figures came in different colors of plastic, and they were all well sculpted, making them visually striking. In 1959, the Britains Swoppet Knights came out, and they were amazing toys. One note, Britains did make other plastic knights. This is a solid knight from the Herald range, and this is one from the detail line that came after the Swoppets. But back to the Swoppet Knights. No matter what year you were born, these figures have a magical appeal. And there is one way to get a complete story on them. Let's hear from the expert and author of Swords and Roses.
My name is Poole, and the name of my book is Swords and Roses, a collecting guide for Britains Swoppet Knights. At its core, it's a documentation book about there's many parts in these particular knights. They were, instead of being molded in one piece, they're made up of anywhere from 7 to 21 individual parts. But it really expanded from a documentation book to hitting many different peripheral topics. These are 50 years old, and there are a lot of questions about various rarities, that sort of thing. There are unusual appearances that have occurred to some of the equipment from weathering, from UV rays, or just kids leaving these things out in the rain and cold and them coming back looking different than they originally were. So a lot of unusual things, but this is a range that just captured imagination of kids back in the 60s. The different parts, the different colors, very colorful. You could twist them, just subtle changes in position would give a different action pose. And then you could go beyond that and take them apart at the waist or at the neck and interchange parts with other figures and have totally different poses beyond that. And so it was great for kids then, and it's great for collectors now. It's a lot of fun. It's virtually impossible to collect all the poses with all the different colors and combinations of things. It gets into the trillions, literally. So we put a lot of focus into, no pun intended, into photography. I bought my first light tent, and I took a camera that I used for years on vacations and learned a lot more about the inner workings as far as exposures, and I did a lot of testing. But the light tent was amazing as far as knocking out shadows and made a world of difference. So photography was a big thing. Interviewed several of the key figures from the past who actually had some of the answers to mysteries that I was pondering why different pieces were rare, and they had the answers for that. So that's, so there's a bit of a stamp collecting type analogy here of there's a lot of parts to find, and even if they're not rare, it can take a while just in the serendipity of when you come across parts, whether you're looking on eBay or toy soldier shows. A labor of love, a learning experience in early retirement, digging deep, and a COVID project. Certainly kept me off the streets for the worst part of the COVID pandemic. But every aspect of the project, from authoring to the photography to editing, working with book printers, and now in the marketing aspects, all of it was a new thing. I was an engineer by background, and so it's been great.
The book itself is beautiful. Ed has filled it with interesting facts, great history, and stunning photos. If you want to grab a copy, reach out to him at his website, swordsandrosesbook.com. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you want to know about our videos as soon as they come out, and check out this other video of ours. And remember, surround yourself with the things you love.